Welcome to the Internet Money Podcast. I have my good friend Sam, formerly known as RSD Sam, as many of you may know him. He is the founder of Social Life Mentoring, SLM, as I've been instructed to say. Now, Sam, if you only had 1 minute to tell the audience how to get a high-quality girlfriend, what would you tell them?
Thanks for having me on. First of all, I've listened to your other podcasts. I've listened to the other guests say a bunch of things. So I'm going to say something different. You got to be different. You got to captivate the audience a little bit. I was thinking about this and I was like, if you could do one thing, if you got around naturals and just watched what they did, your game and you as a person would 10x. Just watching other people and what they do, especially guys that are good with girls, especially guys that are good at making money. Imagine if you had like an expert copywriter and you could shadow him for 2 years, just like watching what he does. How good would you be? Very good. So I think one of the biggest things is get around naturals, get around guys that are already good with this as hard as you can get around them and be like, just watching what they do. That's literally what I did. That was like my number one story. I was like, who are the best? Let me get around them. That's it. And watch. I'm like, oh, okay, they do this. I don't do that. Let me do that because they're better. They know more. They've been in this longer.
People that coming from maybe like the agency space or the dating space are like, bro, none of my friends are good at that. Or like they're thinking of maybe like the football player from their high school. They're like, yeah, that guy was great because he was 6'3" and handsome. So talk to us a little bit about how they get around these naturals. Where are we finding these naturals?
Absolutely. Well, they're in different jobs. They're not going to be a natural with girls as someone that spends a lot of time around girls. So you're going to see a plethora of different jobs that they're going to do. You wouldn't think like a real estate agent would be good. But here's the thing. I usually hang around people that talk for a living and have to connect people for a living. Real estate agents, lawyers, you've got promoters, you've got even not as much as I don't want to hang around them, but you've got OFM people or modeling agencies that they hang around girls all of the time. But guys that talk to girls 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that's their job, or people in general, their social calibration, their ability to be able to read social cues on a high level is just unparamount. It's amazing to watch. And so you can even put yourself around different types of people in the nightclub, managers or bartenders. And a lot of my friends, I actually met a natural, a really, really good natural. I ended up roommating with him. I ended up, building businesses together, and I could see what he did. So I had that osmosis for years and years and years. But he learned from bartenders. They had the best game ever because, again, girls are coming up there. They have a completely different power dynamic. And so it would be looking around your environment. I can guarantee you, if a guy's not in like Wichita or something, or, just some small town, there would be a natural, the guy that's getting all the girls. And heck, everybody has Instagram. So you can kind of tell when a guy is pretty good. And getting around those people is like, okay, what sort of bars are they going to? What kind of clubs they're going to? Just going around that and then watching them, maybe introducing yourself, maybe getting to know their friends, doing the kind of like the circumference. Like if you're trying to get to know one person, try to get to know all their friends as well. And they'll get you an introduction in there. It's getting around and even just watching people. Like on Instagram, you have the ability to be able to watch anyone, watch their stories. And so I'll be scrolling, and you scroll as well, You see on Instagram, you can kind of tell the guy that lives the life, the guy that's not shy of the camera, the guy that's really out there. Well, there's 4 different things that you can learn from him. Why is he good on camera? Why has he got so much confidence? Okay, he does that. Maybe I should do that. He goes to these places. Maybe I should go there. And so it's you want to make it as simple as possible for yourself, not complex. Complexity adds too many layers of guys just get overwhelmed and then they stop doing. You know what it is. Even the agency, if you're like, you go from step 1 to step 17, they're like, hang on, what just happened? Hang on, now we're getting clients? What happened? I'm trying to get my LLC. And you're like, yeah. So you're trying to make it as simple as possible for yourself.
All right, so I'm hearing a few things. It's one, we have to map out the venues in which these like guys that would be naturals are at. So we know a few different kinds of job types, and then it's kind of peeling away the layers of the onion. If you want to connect with some high status promoter, it may not be as easy as just walking over to him. You might have to come in with some kind of structured plan. So talk to us a little bit about like, let's say you were starting from scratch, and it's like everyone forgets about you, Sam. How would you go about this? Because I think many people from the agency space are like, cool, we know business. Tell us how to get girls.
Absolutely. Leave your fucking house. That's number one. The keyboard, like they've gone from the keyboard warriors to like the keyboard guys that can make money. leave your house. Like, bruh, 18 hours a day sitting in front of your computer is not going to do any benefit to you, right? And especially it's like, the guys, the agency guys is like, yeah, I had a full day. I worked 14 hours today. I'm like, yeah, you could have done that in 4 if you put a hard cap on 4 hours and just done some stuff. It's like they do not prioritize socializing. And I have a rule inside, as you said, SLM, which was you're one connection away from your whole life changing. So people don't place that priority. So if I was to do that, it's just number one, redesigning your kind of beliefs, your patterns, your behaviors, social behaviors, your actions. Be like, okay, I'm going to make it a big deal and a priority to leave the house and go do social activities, right? Number two, another rule we have, which is a life rewards people that are initiators. These guys don't do anything. They're waiting for the invite to the party. They're waiting for the connection set up. They're waiting for the girl to magically knock on their door and be like, here I am, baby, come get me. They'd probably still stuff that up. Be like, oh, hang on, I gotta log off my computer. Like, it's like you got to be the initiator, be someone that actually takes action. If you just took action and stopped thinking about is this the right thing, is it the wrong thing, and you just took action. So like, let's just break it down very simply. Leave the house, 2 to 3 times a week, going to a social venue where there's people that you do not know. So you get like acclimatized to, people that you don't know, hitting up your friends that you already have or people that you know or girls. You can go on dating apps. You can go on Instagram, start promoting your lifestyle. There's a bunch of different things. If you were to say, Sam, I'm going to drop you here, and I've done this recently. I literally did a challenge on my YouTube that I was like, I was 30-day, it was 30 days, how to build a social circle 30 days, LA edition. And I wasn't allowed to use my connections. And I document the whole process. And day one, I'm just getting the layout of the land. Day two, I'm going to start to build a rotation of different places. So I go to this nightclub because I found on Instagram that it's the best. I go to this coffee shop because it's the best. And there's a lot of people there and I'm able to interact with people. So I'm getting the connection. Number three, I start to say yes to a lot more opportunities. So any opportunity I get, it's like, do you want to come? Do you want to come to, hot bicycle yoga? I'm like, oh, not really, but yes, I'll do it. Because then you're just always getting these like invitations. And then I'm also doing a bit of research. What are the cool things in my city? What are the things that are going on? There's guaranteed there's something going on. It's just like you got to put yourself out there. And these guys, it's just the priorities are not there. It's like business, 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 business. And then they don't realize that they're actually, even though they're getting all this business success, they're missing out on all these opportunities that A, could bring more business success in the future, but B, just fundamentally make their life more enjoyable, interacting with people. We're social creatures, you know that, just us doing this is social. It's enjoyable, but it's still, it's not the same as if we were in a room together chatting it out, because it's just this back and forth flow and it's just enjoyable. They say, I learned this thing the other day, where it's like there's three parts of the human body that indicate longevity. Do you want to know? Do you want to have a guess what they are?
3 parts of the human body that indicate longevity. Well, I assume it has to be partially your brain, then your heart, and
Yep,
probably your lungs.
very close. So it was the heart, the lungs, and the quads.
The quads, that is
What?
peculiar.
And I was like, okay, well, why is that? Obviously, it would be brain. There'd be a few other aspects, but I was like, what are the quads? And he goes on to explain that in caveman times and in times that we didn't have cars up to that stage, how would you get social interaction? You'd have to walk everywhere to go talk to people, walk to the next village, walk to the waterhole, and walk to hunt. And so the quads were a big indication of social activity. And so when they went, they find that the longevity of the person would die quicker because they didn't have that social interaction. And so basically, if guys are spending 18 hours a day in front of their computer and not talking to people, they're slowly dying.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I hope I'm not dying right now, but it appears I may be. Let me
What?
talk to you a little bit
No,
about
like, look at today. How many people did you talk to today? You did this full activity. I saw you at the
probably
gym,
like
here.
7. Yeah. I do a lot of things in a day. I'm a good follow on Instagram. Not gonna lie. So we talked about leaving the house, and I think that is obviously one of the biggest steps. Now, the internet money crowd, like all the guys, can pretty much like control their schedule to a degree. Yet maybe it's
Yeah.
a little tougher to take sales calls in a cafe, but you guys can leave the house. Then we talked about fixing your Instagram. This is very similar to the episode we did with Tristan. Like, talk
Yeah.
to us
So
a little
good.
bit about the value of Instagram. I like to call it the landing page for your life, either for your agency or for your life in general. So, talk to us a little bit about the value of Instagram and how you would like create them a good landing page so that when they meet somebody, they're actually going to like, people are going to want to be in their life.
The 24-hour personality, eh? I love it. Such a good thing. I'm going to give you a story. So imagine you go to a festival, you meet this beautiful girl, Cynthia, Stacy, Angelica, whatever her name is, and you hit it off, and then you know, festival, you might lose her, so you try to get her Instagram, and then she's smitten over you. She's in love with you. She's like, oh my God, you know, Jack's is so amazing. He was so good. And then her friends are like, oh, show us a photo. What did he look like? And then she goes on your account and she's got to choose between like you holding a fish, you and your grandma back in 2016, or you doing a keg stand. And she's like, oh, he is so much cuter in person. Like, no, like his Instagram doesn't do it. Like, you don't want the pity of that. I've seen that firsthand, and it is like, so that's just in for that realm. In your network, you can imagine, like you're in Colombia. It's like when a guy has a very curated profile, it shows off his lifestyle in a very good way. You already put good emotions on that person. Like you like, oh, he gets it. He understands the game of adding value, of showing his lifestyle off, of you kind of just already assume like, I'm gonna like this guy because we're similar. Did you get that vibe when you meet someone? You're like, oh no, they're cool. So they're doing activities, they're doing all these different things. And what that does is just gives you a positive reference experience without even meeting the person. Like, that's amazing. Imagine if we had that, but like back in the day, like I talked to the older people, like they'd have to go meet people. Like a good example, you go on a date with someone back in the year 2000. Let's just say we're in New York. You go meet a girl, you meet her at some, I don't know, wherever. It's kind of like I'm trying to paint the Seinfeld era, 1980s, 90s, 2000s. You go on a date, you meet someone, and you take, you know, the average date's about 2 to 3 hours. You go on a couple of dates to get to know a bunch of information about the person. You've wasted probably anywhere between 8 to 12 hours to get to know somebody. They're what they do for a living, what type of things they're interested in, where they are in the hierarchy, you know, how much money they have, what their confidence level's like, all of these different things you get to know from interacting with people. Now, in the modern day, you can get that within 20 seconds looking at someone's Instagram. It's just a quicker, more effective way. I talk about the Uberification of dating. It's like when Uber decimated cabs, that's what Instagram did. It just made everything of like data consumption quicker for girls. And I always say, I have this idea where back in the day, I heard that from the age of 16 to 24, a girl gets approached or has interactions with guys that are interested between, I think the number is 86,000 times, and a huge amount. So obviously they're going to build a system that filters out certain individuals. And one of the biggest ones now, as you know very well, which is Instagram, is a great filter for he doesn't live the lifestyle I want. He doesn't, portray himself. So I would say that, if a guy doesn't have a good Instagram, it's a net negative on his life, even though if he can't quantify it, even he's like, oh, I haven't lost any girls from it. Oh, no one's really complained. If you took out a grand scope, it would be a negative. So I would literally say for the guys, and this is very, very key, start taking photos of yourself, because there are guys that come in my community that I said, oh, what happened in 2022? And they're like, oh, I didn't get any photos. I'm like, you didn't exist in that year to anybody. Like, you didn't exist. It's like, we have a saying in Australia, take a photo or it didn't happen. It's like people need evidence nowadays. And now AI is going to disrupt that. But basically, you need the evidence that you did the thing. If you and I said, I went snowboarding last year, and you're like, oh, that's cool. But then you go on my Instagram, you see a photo of me snowboarding. That backs up my theory that I did go snowboarding. Or you see, I've got a bunch of girls. You have a look, there's a bunch of girls. That's another thing. So it's just like people say, indisputable evidence. There's like hard facts. You can't just, I went to Dubai. You have a look at my profile. There's a photo of Dubai. It's like it backs up the theory. So I would say that guys should go travel, get a bunch of photos. Guys should go start learning how to pose, because that takes about 5 to 7 photo shoots to learn to become comfortable in front of a camera. That's like the major thing. Guys are just scared of the camera. They tense up. They get like, you see guys. I don't know about Colombia, but yeah, there's some guys in Australia that are just like tragic. Like, oh man, not
Yeah,
gonna
I'd
make.
say it definitely takes some getting used to. Let's talk about some of the types of photos, because they're like, wait, I can't have the fish? I can't have just me and my grandmother? What's going on? Like, what kind
I
of
know.
photos should these guys be getting?
I mean, I'm sorry. Like, I wish I could grant like the granny photo. I wish I could. You never know. You could spin it a little bit. Could even spin the fish photo if it's a good quality. Number one, every guy that I see has a quality issue, so they take it with like an iPhone 7. It's like basically there's like a meme the other day. It was like 720p, so 720 pixels. Back in like 2011 was high quality, but 720 in 2024 is just like dog crap. It's like 240p. It just like looks pixelated. So guys have very bad quality. Quality shouldn't be an issue in 2024. You have an iPhone, someone else has an iPhone. Take some good quality photos. The camera is literally, you don't need a camera. You got it on your phone. Um, Another, like, if you were to go through what are the characteristics, like one adventure photo of you doing something adventurous, so you can say, "Oh, I'm adventurous." Um, Probably, I wouldn't do any selfies. Leave that to the male models. Leave that to the J Alvarez's to do the selfies. You're not fucking in a 24 male model walking for Gucci. Uh, I would say get some photos of you with some friends, some social proof that you actually know people. Because I've seen some guys get like singular photos of them. You've seen that? And guys just get singular photos, and it's like, hang on, does this guy actually have any friends? Uh, I would say go get some photos in some different areas, maybe some architecture in the background, maybe showing that you're traveling. So literally go on Instagram. You're in a city, Instagrammable spots in the city, dust them off, do photo shoots in every single one of them, and there's going to be a good photo there. Then I would get maybe a headshot, like a full torso to headshot, and that can be like your main dating profile one as well, or your main profile picture in your Instagram. The main profile. They did those. You've got a good Instagram already. If that makes
Now,
sense.
no, that makes complete sense. So I'll just echo everything is when I first got into all of this stuff, it's felt so weird to get like a friend to take a photo of you. And it's like, as a guy, I don't know, there's
But
like
why
this,
did it feel weird? That's the question.
you know what? It just felt like it was in the realm of women where
Ah, okay. It's like it was feminine.
it just felt feminine where it's like,
Yeah, I get you.
and maybe, but nowadays I do it all the time. We have this saying at restaurants, it's like Instagram eats first. Like you don't even touch the food
Ah,
until
of
like
course, of
Instagram
course.
has touched it.
You
So,
get you like you're even getting the light out and being like,
oh,
hey,
100%. Like I'm an expert at it at this point. Like if there's one thing, well, I was part of the Men of Action program. If there's one thing that taught me was a lot of taking photos. Now, the one critique I'd have of these guys from MOA is they often look very lonely. So there's many different styles that you could pick up
yeah,
from different groups of guys. Like some guys will have this more like solo, like traveler style. Other guys
yeah.
will have more of like you just all have to customize it to yours. What would you say your general like online style is?
That's a really good question. I keep it a little bit mysterious as well. So, if guys go on mine, they'll see a bunch of different things. I tend to do a lot of travel at the moment. That's my big thing. I tend to do slightly more adventurous things as well. So, dune buggying, jet skiing, snowboarding, any sort of adventurous things that I can do. But that's just me. I turned 30. I want to do like cool shit. Yeah. I've done my 20s. I want to do some crazy stuff. I'd also put slightly flavors of pre-selection from girls, not too much, not over. I see some guys that they go above and beyond. And if I'm a guy and I can tell that the girls are slightly uncomfortable or slightly don't want to be there or slightly don't know you, think about a girl. She's got 100x more perceptibility about that, especially if she
Mm.
likes you as well. She could read social cues like that. So you got to be very careful with the pre-selection, as you said, the lonely guy. So I would say a combination of just like I try to I try to have that James Bond mysterious element to me where no one knows what country I'm in. The girl, that helps me within my dating funnel where I might get a girl, I'm in your city. She doesn't even know where I am. Like, I'm not even posted where I'm at. Shit, like, gives her this rush of emotion and gives her this, like, adrenaline rush. Like, oh my God, he's in my city. So that helps me in sort of different areas. That may change. I go through different eras. I may get through an era where I'm taking video selfies and just like I have some enemy that I'm going back and forth against. Or I might have an era where I'm just like archiving everything like the rappers do and kind of start again. So I keep it different. Like whatever artistic vision that I have, I try to keep it very similar to that.
Yeah, you definitely bring up the pre-selection point, and that's probably one of my contentions with the MOA style of photos, men of action style. For people that are unfamiliar, is they'll usually do this like line up, kind of like a promoter style picture, where it's like dudes around, like arms around girls. I actually very much like. I'll probably say like Arlen Moore or
Yeah.
who else? It would be like Iman Gadzhi, where it's like he's just like smoking a cigar and there are girls in the background. And it might like not even show their face. It might just be like, but you can tell if like there's a hand in the picture. Like I like
Yes.
that very subtle form of pre-selection because I'm like, do you guys not have girlfriends? Like how are they not objecting to this ASAP?
Yes. Yeah, because if you've got a photo like that and you've got a girl, there's going to be some issues there already. Yeah, so,
Absolutely.
so exactly, you touched on it so well. Subtlety. Everything has to be subtle. Subtle flexes, subtle money things, subtle girls. Like it's in the subtlety because you're also catering towards girls so they can see the subtleties. It's kind of like you know in those Marvel movies and all that, they put those Easter eggs in there. Kind of slightly like that, maybe a little bit more in front of the like showing that people know. But just yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think that the subtleties are incredibly important. And then one thing you mentioned earlier was, you got that headshot for your dating app. I'm actually slightly anti dating app because I think it is a market that has an inverse selection bias. Well, any girl that's like really is really attractive would never need a dating app because she could just go to the library and get approached by a bajillion guys. So like you're
Yeah,
already
sure.
losing if you're on a dating app. And I could be biased on that one personally, but I'm curious how you think about it from the coaching perspective.
I would say, look, in my city, when I'm in a city, and I'm staying there, social circle, building it out, don't need them. When I'm traveling, it's also
Mm.
good to keep the momentum going. So, you're going to have fluctuations in your confidence. You're a guy, right? You're going to be the weeks and months where you're crushing it. Every client's paid in full. There's no delays. Business is going well. It's going to be like you're kicking. You're kicking goals in both feet. There's going to be some times where it gets a little bit rocky, and you're not gonna be like intense with everything. And so, to keep that momentum going, that's very pivotal for you. So I'd say if you're traveling and you can get those sort of girls, have I met beautiful girls on dating apps? Absolutely. Have I met some horrible ones? Absolutely. It's a guy. Instagram is kind of like your dating app, so I can see how you can go for there, especially if you're in your city, like that's your main city, right?
Yeah, yeah. If you're
Um,
traveling, you kind of can discount a lot of the things that I'm saying because I often think about it like a tiered system. It's like when you first get to a city, you can only really get like dating app or like cold approach girls because that's all that you even have enough like status to get. Not that
yeah,
status is the
exactly.
only thing, but like when you are very ingrained at a nightclub or you're very ingrained in a charity circuit, yes, that exists, people.
Yeah.
If you're very ingrained in like certain kinds of things, you're going to have access to different levels of
Well,
people, business
I would say the,
connections and
the
otherwise.
caveat to that is knowing guys in each city that are good with
Mm.
girls. So if I went to your city, there's like three guys that I know, hit them up, I'm coming through, and because I'm offered them enough value, like how is a guy going to offer enough guys if you're a single dude? Girls, girls, girls. That's it. So they're like, oh, we got this party, we got this nightclub, we got this booth here. So that could be the only caveat that I would say that, but you're exactly 100% correct on that.
Yeah, which
100%.
actually doubles back to the Instagram conversation. Is this is like, guys, why you have to be so focused on? So instead of texting like 200 guys from the agency space on your phone every single week, you can just have them all on Instagram, be posting cool stories, and people are like, damn, like Sam's really cool. Like if he comes to Medellin, like I'm definitely setting him up, or like because I know if
Yeah.
I'm in his city, he'll hook it up.
100. Well, you're on your computer all the time. Like if that, at least do that one step, which is exactly what you said. If you're on the computer, at least do fucking that, right? It's not like your life's going to be worse off doing that. It's going to be,
Mm.
no, it's going to be terrible if you do that. If you actually hit up other people, say, I'll come to your city. Oh, that'd be terrible.
Horrible. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about. So I just talked with Serge Steves, a mutual friend of ours, and then we talked with Tristan. Maybe that was last
Yeah.
week, and each of them have slightly different paradigms on what they think like comprises like a 10 out of 10 man. So
Yeah.
there's the looks, money, status, game paradigm.
Of
Tristan would
course.
fall in the status location,
Definitely.
and then Serge would fall in the vibe, which I would just equate to
Definitely.
games.
Yeah.
Where would you fall on the spectrum of like maybe a stack rank of importance?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. Let me think about it for a second and not say the same thing that I've all said. So I developed a system in 2020, which some people do know of. And it was this system that I built with my buddy. In 2020, we sat down and we were like, how do we get the hottest girls in the world? The hottest, like I'm talking celebrity style. And we came up with a system called the 7 pillars of status. And in those 7 pillars, we then created a system to rank yourself. And the idea was the higher up we got this number, the more attractive girls that we had in our life and the better our life got. And so I would say, the things like social proof, things like looks, things like money, financial freedom, Instagram, like social media. You've got game, naturalness. You've got logistics. Those are the pillars. And if you started to increase those, your life got better, your relationships got better, your access got better. And I would say that I've been running my system, and I teach the guys in the SLM that for as long as I want. So I'll go, like today, it'll be like a really good thing. I'll go through and I'll rank myself and see where I'm at out of 10. Because most guys, if you ask most guys, what do most guys say? Like, what do you rank yourself out of 10? What's the common answer? Like the common answer.
Interestingly, for guys, I actually think it's probably around like a 7, where most
Yeah,
guys would rank
7.
themselves.
Because it's the socially accepted number. Socially accepted. See, a guy that's a 7 is having sixes and 6.5 girls throw themselves at him. And a guy that's a 7 usually isn't getting laid at all. He's like the socially accepted number. No one will judge me for saying 7. So we did a lot of calculations and tried to break the system, and we realized that guys are about a 3 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah, a 3 out of 10. So like they've got twos throwing themselves, or they're like, absolute grenades and whales, but they're not getting what they wanted. So it's the idea that, remember, if you're a 7 out of 10, you're beating 70% of other men. So we lined up 10 guys, you're beating 7 of them. And that's not the case for a lot of these guys. So I think a 10 out of 10 guy is a guy across the board that is good in every single area. You name it. We talk. Tristan was telling about Dan. Dan in an area. Dan's body is great. His finances are great. He has a great social media. He's got great pre-selection. He's got great logistics. Like every single pillar is fantastic. Take Leo. Well, Leo's famous, so that doesn't count, But if we take Zac Efron, same thing. But at least they're hitting a lot of categories. So I don't think there is a way that we can describe a 10 out of 10 man, because there's also rappers that are overweight, like Rick Ross, that's getting every girl that we can't get. There's also guys that are fitness guys that aren't getting laid at all. So it's a real across the board. It's basically, can you get everything up in your life? Can you have a cool place? Can you have a stable job, like financially freedom and starting getting money in? Can that job not take up all of your time? Because you can be financially free, but you're working 18 hours a day. You're not free. Girls want to take trips. Girls want to do things, but you're working, so you're not even financially free. Like like these internet guys, are more freer financially. They're like a doctor that's making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year because the doctor's always in work, right? Let's just take, you have a great social proof pre-selection. You've got girls that are interested in you around the city. You also have female friends. You also have guys that are absolutely inside the correct hierarchies of the correct systems in your city. So I would say that there's no, for me specifically, you might say, oh, it's about 10 out of 10 guys about a vibe, or a 10 out of 10 guys about, your status. But for me, it's about across the board. How good is he at certain things? Because you could say an idea of, a guy could be complete natural. He doesn't know game, doesn't know anything. He doesn't have Instagram, but he has an unusual high skill at problem solving. He has a great, you could say, understanding of social dynamics, because he had sisters living, growing up with him. So he kind of understood female psychology. So you could say that's a 10 out of 10 guy, but he doesn't know all the red pill stuff. He doesn't know all that. Then you can have a guy that's really worked on himself, that it was like a social retard, and now he's like amazing, and he's a 10 out of 10. So it's across the board. It's so difficult to say what a 10 out of 10 is, in my opinion. I would say it's just raising all the bars, and that's why we kind of created the 7 pillars of status. Like, what are and so you could say status is my thing, but it's just across the board. How good is he across every different thing? Because you could be great with game, but then you have no money and you can't even get to the club. That's a problem.
Yeah, well, we might need some resources to link to on the 7 status pillars. I really like Tristan Tate. He has the 5S, where it's like fitness, like he
Yeah.
has a whole one on that,
Yeah,
and I think that's one of the best. But I think if you had to max out, obviously everyone should max out everything. Like we're talking about guys that are ripped, but also have status and money. I think if God came to you tomorrow and was like, I'll make you Danny DeVito, you'd probably still say yes. You're like, I'd
yeah.
rather be like 4 foot tall. I guess
Oh,
you could say he's
100%.
funny, but like his status is through the roof. Like I'm sure he still is doing quite well in the dating
Yeah, no, 100%.
landscape.
Even if you're 5'2", it's all right. You can figure it out.
So my stack rank, if guys had to prioritize it, I think status is probably the most difficult one to get, but it probably
Oh,
has
yeah.
the biggest return on investment. Then Well, we're the internet money podcast people here, so money. Like
Money.
honestly, status is a way to arbitrage yourself around a lot of money without having it yourself. Like look at
That's right.
nightclub promoters that could be sleeping on couches,
Yeah.
but are essentially around a bunch of guys that have money. So for me, it's like status, money. Dude, with looks these days, like you're in Colombia, if you're ugly, like just get more money and they'll fix that for
Yeah.
you.
A
And
lot of time you
then
can fix it too. You know, get your
yeah,
teeth done, get your hair
where would
lined
you
up.
put? I don't want to put game last. I feel like that's crazy, but like
No, game's interesting. Like what people think a game is like cold approach. It's not cold approach. It's like there's so many like cold approach is like the very first thing of the first line that you might say. And I'm not anti cold approach again. I'm not like that because again, I still do it. It's a way that you do it. I grew up on that. That's how I got into this system. I would say that game is your ability to navigate relationships, your ability to handle frame control, your ability to understand what she's not saying when she's saying things, like reading in between her lines. Like there's a whole demographic of game that I think guys do that. So I'm big on game as well. I think it's the idea of understanding, kind of the tendencies that you might have had as a child and the childhood trauma and the kind of the seeking for validation. I call it the needy Ned, the guy that just needs that validation from women. It's like being able to control that and then be able to promote these characteristics that you have. But me, I'm experience based. So game is through experience based. Like if you could go into stressful situations, your game's going to be better because when you're dealing with a girl, it's not that stressful, but you get better. But I know
yeah,
what it's kind of hard to put a number on game. Like if it's shit, then it's bad. But if it's great, it's like, is it moving the needle as much?
yeah, you pretty much can't have anything to be like really successful in this world. I think unless you have something like status maxed out to the maximum, you can't have anything below a five. Like below a five is unacceptable in either category.
Yeah, exactly. Body, same thing. It's gonna be good. It's like every across the board. It's like spinning plates. They say you
Mhm.
basically have to. You have to have everything. But here's the cool thing: if you get money in order, like the biggest epiphany that I had was, okay, stop trying to do it yourself and start hiring people that can help you level yourself up. A trainer, a chef, a cleaner, all these different things that you can add to your life. Someone to help your business so you get your time back. That helps you be able to level up the other areas. And it's not all about girls because you might be able to, through having a girl on your arm, you walk into the St. Regis in Dubai and then you meet this other guy that can completely change your life overnight and just like accelerate your money, accelerate your time. Like you never know what might happen from this. So when guys think, oh, well, why are you doing this all about girls? It's not just about girls. There's other plays that I try to teach the guys, like there's other levels. Like once you get to a level where you know a lot of people, start getting to know council members, politicians, doctors, lawyers, real estate. Like that's where you get to the real connection. That's where you can leverage all these guys and connect other people with them. And that's when you're playing a real big level. Because a lot of the guys, I have one-on-one clients and they're very high level guys. And that's the first thing that I get them to do is start like kind of like your black book, trying to get these names, these contacts in order because you never know what can come from it.
Yeah, talk to us a little bit about some of these private clients because it's curious, for some of the guys maybe lower on the agency space, or maybe they've been grinding on their agency for 2 years and they got it to like, 50K plus monthly recurring. And they're like, I have all this money, but
Yeah.
I'm not really getting the girls. Talk to us about some of the problems that some of these like more successful guys in business are still facing.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're facing frame control problems. They're great in business, but not when it comes to girls. So they're great, and like they're a leader. They'll put up with no crap in their business, but once they get in a relationship, well, that's good. They put up with so much because they don't know how to set boundaries. Or it's like the thing that they're pussy whipped basically. So every decision they make is like, oh, I could lose the girl, or they basically got that one-itis, or they've got that idea that they're trying to seek that validation always from girls, and that destroys their natural confidence, their ability to be able to communicate what they want, their ability to lay the law down of like, no, I do not accept this or do accept this. Other things too, they just don't know the system. They're like, I have all this money, I can get a bottle, I can get a table at a nightclub, but like there's no girls, and so they don't know how to leverage their money. They're really good at making money, not leveraging it. So this is the guy, like when you came up, when you're on your come up and you learn how to get girls with zero money, that's why it's really easy to get a guy that's like got a lot of money and be like, no, you just have to do this, this, and this, and you're good. But when you haven't come up like that, it's very difficult to know how to manipulate your money for the most amount of return. I would say that's a big issue that they face. Another issue they face is that they're neglected the seven pillars. They've neglected usually their looks, or they've neglected one other area in their life. And so they might be overweight, they might not be in the best shape, they might not be as charismatic as they could be, or they might not be talking to people. They might be doing the 18 hours a day on the computer. And you're like, brother, get outside. Start doing some shit. I know you love your house. I know you love your penthouse looking over a beautiful sky. That's fantastic. Let's bring some people up, host an event there if you want. Like, let's do some shit with some people, enjoy your life. You've got all this money, and then, sometimes in the agency space, you feel as if you're doing, you're just working for other people still. You got all this money, but you're working, and you see like, I've got all this money, but my life hasn't improved. And that's where the big epiphany is like, okay, well, now you're in an era in your life where it's starting to improve your life. And that's not just by going out Dior and designer. That's like setting up a system where you can get new connections, you can get new girls in your life, you can build out this like social circle in a city, and all the effort that you put in is getting returned back as well. And you're getting invites to parties, and excuses to dress up, excuses to get more Instagram followers and Instagram posts. And yeah, so it's setting up that system that they have a little bit of trouble with as well.
Yeah, the system that definitely tickles the agency owner in my
Yeah.
brain. So, talk to us a little bit about the system you set up, because you mentioned like, hey, we got to leave the house, we got to get involved in some activities. Are there some activities you recommend people get involved? Like back in the day, it was salsa dancing was a big one, mostly
Yeah,
just because I like Latinas. But like, hey, that's an avenue.
sure.
What kind of things do you recommend people get involved in? Because they're like, hey, I left the house, now what?
Are we talking about a guy that's an agency guy? Or are we talking about just
Agency
like
guy, guy has
regular?
money.
Okay, a guy that has money. Yeah, so you
You
could
can
definitely
assume
do.
pretty much everyone on the pod has money.
Yeah, yeah, which is good. You can do all that, and when you say that to an agency guy, they're like, "Go to Solstice." They're like, I've got to learn another thing. I don't want to do that, right?" And so that's it. That's a requirement. You learn so much. You have to be this guy, that guy, this guy, like, and so you don't want to learn anymore. So I would say systematically, uh, first of all, it's leverage other people. You don't, in an agency guy or a guy that's got a lot of money, you don't need to know a million people. You just need to know the guy that knows a million people. So first of all, um, this is a real practical thing. For a guy, go on to the latest nightclub in his city, have a look at their following list, see if there's a promoter on the list, DM the promoter, hey, and be like, hey, I want to get a booth at this sort of place. I'm new to the city. Just pretend you're new. I don't know many people. I don't know many girls. Is there a way that we're able to bring some girls? I got a few buddies in from town that are also, want to spend. You kind of dangle the carrot in front of the promoter, and he's like, yeah, no problem, brother. I got you sorted. I'll get you some girls. So you can do that. And that's a way that a lot of those rich guys have started off their funnel of just like building new people. That's one way. Another way too, you start to go to upper echelon places. So you've got spas and lounges. You just start to build your life of going to places where there is that barrier to entry. So hitting your buddies up to see if there's any events coming up, having a look at any sort of paid events coming, going to the best nightclubs and the best restaurants in the world. So hitting some buddies up, hitting a girl. I also recommend too, guys, if guys don't have the girls, then these guys get a bunch of photos, then get on the dating apps, get a bunch of girls to come to a restaurant, a nice restaurant. Because again, if you're going to Jezebel in LA, or you're going to one of the Vegas ones, or you're going to Poppy Steak, or Kiki on the River in Miami, or Gecko, most girls will say yes as well. You can do that. Now, another thing, you get Instagram photos and then start DMing girls on Instagram. There's so many different funnels that they can go through. I would say like a big system for a guy that doesn't have the setup right now, but does know people. Start hosting events. Best way. Start leveraging other people. It's like, okay, well, I only have to spend 2 to 3K. I can host this event. People can come to me. I can tell them to bring other people. Bang. Fantastic. We used to run parties for $150. So you can do it. You can do it. You have an apartment party, we'd invite a bunch of people. We would say this particular line. We wouldn't say, hey, bring as many people as you want. We would say, the line was, I'm sorry, we're only doing 1+1 for this event. I hope you understand. And because it was like a reverse psychology of not us asking for more people, but like, I'm sorry, we can only do 1+1. Everyone would bring a +1. Everybody. It's just like that little twist in the words. That's why I love those little twists in the words. They're fantastic. And so then you meet a whole bunch of people. You might do a dinner. You'd be like, all right, I got some boys that are in the city. And again, this is for a guy that is slightly socially, has some friends. If a guy's bottom of the barrel, then it's like, all right, let's get you to networking dinners. Let's get you some boys. You need to like a crew. You need guys about the same mission. Because most of these guys are go like, oh yeah, my friend Barry is married with 2 kids. And I'm like, you are not. Like, I love Barry. Barry sounds like a cool dude, but you're in two different elements of your life. You start to need some boys in your city. And so these guys should, you said that, these guys in the agency should have contacts in their city. If they don't, that's a bad thing. Someone comes and fucking robs you, kicks you out of your house, who are you going to stay with? You got to, like, you better have boys around you. You're going to have, like, fucking homies that are about the mission.
Yeah,
That
and
was,
this is
that's the first thing.
I'll add in some stuff here as well, especially regarding the events space. So there's a few tricks of the trade that I developed when I was in New York. So one is you can, if you're under 40, you can get on these charity organizations that throw galas, and it's quite simple to get on the board, the junior associates board, and then you want to skew for charities that leave heavily female. Most charities do, except for like the autistic, effective altruist ones. So you want to look for like art charities. You want to look for those kinds of things. Get on the board. Boom. You're going to meet a lot of people. I was at this conservatory one and it was about 90% women. I was like, huh, go figure. And
That's
then,
wild. I didn't know that, but
yeah,
that makes sense. That there is little elements there.
yeah, women are just more attracted to charity from my experience, especially
Yep.
depending on the charity. If it's like kids, animals, things of that nature. The other thing
Sure.
you can do is like, yeah, you should already have some boys, but if you don't, start just hosting agency like meetups with guys. Be like, hey, we're going to do like ice baths, or like, hey, we're going to like just all grab sushi. Boom. You got like 10 new agency friends. One of those guys is going to have a girlfriend. Then you can start doing couple events. Then
Yeah.
you can start doing these like 3-to-1 events, which I don't recommend starting with personally. I feel like all these guys like try to jump into like the big of like a Dan Blazarian type event, and it's like you
Yeah.
ain't ready for that, kid. Come on.
Yeah. Do dinners, do little host events. Then you get the system down pat. Because with the guys at SLM, it usually takes 7 events. Don't judge them for 7 events because they're going to be shit. 7. Like, guys are like giving up after 1. And I'm like, don't give up after 7.
Now, is there like, are there event types you recommend where you're like, hey, throw a sushi dinner, throw
Yeah.
this, or is there like a sequential order? Like, give us some of the sauce here.
Yeah. Something's easy, super easy is a Taco Tuesday. Super easy. You go down, you get tortillas, you get mince, you get fucking cheese, lettuce, guac, and then you just invite people over for Taco Tuesday. Like, that's a super simple one. Because no one's expecting it. You might have some Coronas or shit like that. No one's expecting some massive party. But it's also something to do as well. You also have Sunday Fun Day where you go try different sports every Sunday. That's a fantastic one. You think they have to be like massive fucking thing. They don't really. They can be very simple because majority of the time you want it to lean towards you guys having conversations, not the massive event. Like, these massive parties, you're having small conversations, which is great. The majority of the best ones that I ever hosted were very small things.
Yeah,
A girl would stay later on and you'd have this like 3-hour epic conversation with her. She'd be in love with you. So those
yeah,
kind of ones. Another one that you reminded me of. They could do a little circuit where as weird as it sounds, tanning salons are fantastic. You want to get to know girls, go to tanning salons. Every girl there's like I went to the one on Melrose. It's called Melrose. I didn't even know fucking Kanye and Bianca Sensori go there. And I was like, wow, what the like, and then you have these hot girls that are in the lobby. You go talk to them. Girls that work there. Spas and saunas, another great one. Russian banyas and stuff. You could go to, you could go to the malls and stuff, absolutely. But you try to go to more female-centric things, like you said, charity nights. I found the tanning salons. I found different things like you go to a masseuse, there'll be girls at the lobby there. It's just like putting yourself around situations where model type girls will go to. So like a great one that a lot of people said is like find a modeling agency or modeling place in the city and then find the nearest coffee shop. And then usually girls finish the modeling studio. If they're hungry, they go straight to the nearest coffee shop. I did that also with guys. I did exotic car rental companies or exotic car mechanics. And then you find the nearest coffee shop, and that's where you'd rock up and you'd be there, and all these guys would be waiting for their Maserati or maybe waiting for their Lambo to get fixed. They go to the coffee shop, they go work. Another cool way. You kind of just like got to think about it like where people are doing shit, you just got to put yourself in there kind of like where are they going? Most guys, they like play Fortnite, they go to the gym, you go play basketball with their buddies or something, and there's no real female, like they don't meet females at all. But they got to be a little bit more. You got to like go to places where there's females pretty well.
Yeah, and if you go to
Otherwise,
the
you're
gym,
stuffing up. What are you doing? You know?
and if you go to the gym, go get a trainer, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it might be expensive depending where you live, or just move somewhere like Medellin, Colombia, where it's not expensive. Most of these trainers know all the girls in the place, so instead of doing like cringe cold approach in the gym, which I do not recommend,
no,
specifically in the gym, you
yeah,
can just have the trainer tell you who's single and who's like available and things like that.
yeah, 100%. And everyone comes up to the trainer while you're training with them. Have you
Yeah,
noticed that? You're like, you pay this guy like $100, and
yeah,
he's
he's
like
the best
distracts
lead
by
magnet
so many
ever.
people.
Yeah,
So I'm like, look, I'll pay you $120. You just got to introduce you to people.
yeah.
He's like, all right, you can do that. Like, you can leverage money. Here's the thing. It's like, hey, I'll buy a bottle. Here's $250. Can you bring a bunch of girls? I used to do this with the photographer inside the nightclub. Here's $50. Try and get some photos of me. I just don't want the watermark on them. And he's like, yeah, sure. Here's your email. And he sent me like 5 photos out of me not looking like the most, like specifically like, I don't know if it's candid or non-candid. I can't remember. I always forget
Candid,
that.
candid.
But yeah, candid. Where it's like I'm interacting with some girl, looks amazing. And I'm like, perfect.
Yeah, because you
So
got to think
you leverage.
the trainer is probably making like $100 an hour. Of that, he probably actually makes like close to 50. That nightclub photographer probably makes like $200 that entire night. You just gave him a fourth of his salary. So yeah,
Yeah.
guys, do not be afraid to leverage money where it makes sense. Now, there's a lot of talk on my side of the internet. I know we talked a lot about relationships, but that
Yeah.
there's the health, wealth, and relationship dynamic. And most people say you can't pursue them all at once. What's your take on this generally? Do you feel like you can max out everything? Or you think there's like more seasons of life?
I would say the first thing is getting people on your team as well. That can help you leverage a lot of things. Like if your trainer is thinking about what you're eating, that helps you. And if they can communicate with a chef and they're making that, that can really help you. Like you don't have to think about that. You just have meals there. Uh, I would say that there is definitely going to be dynamics where it's going to be amazing. It's going to work well. It's not going to work well. I would say that's the goal for everybody, trying to have those in order. And so, as for agency guys, systems. That's pretty much it. Like I started with there's an app called Motion. I don't know if you use it. It's kind of a like a scheduler, calendar scheduler that I've recently noticed. And basically it uses AI. You kind of block out times, and if you don't get to a task, it moves it to the next day and kind of it like rearranges your whole schedule. It's really, really cool. Those things that you're constantly perfecting, it's like feedback loops, right? You're constantly perfecting. Did this work well? Did this not work well? That's going to be the way you're going to be doing it. Because, you can have me like, right, I'll give you an example. You could have like everything going great. You're traveling around the world. Bang, grandfather dies. Bang, health and wealth is gone, right? And I'm just like, I'm in a chaos and a loop of like having to do with funeral stuff, having to do that. So you just have to be the guy that goes through eras, is unexpected in different, everything's going to come at you. But you also have to be a guy that can be emotionally resilient enough to get back on track when things are going hectically as well. I always remember Thomas Shelby in like Peaky Blinders, man. He's got so much crap on his like plate, and he's able to just like I know it's a fictional character, but I'm just assuming it's real. But this is the you got to look up to people that are better than you. Like you're Tyler Durden. You also have to have a Tyler Durden. Like you're Tyler Durden. Like Jack's Tyler Durden is crushing it, like crushing you. He fucks his girl better than you do. He fucking makes more money than you do. He does everything better than you do, and you're versing him. So that's why I enjoy it. I always just like I don't try to compare myself to other people. I just try to compare myself to like the better version of me. I'm like, man, that guy's ripped her. He's got more girls. He's got hotter girls. He can like DM any celebrity in the world and get a reply. And I'm like, all right, I just got to verse that. How do I get there? I'm kind of trying to close the gap. That's all I'm trying
Yeah.
to do.
And another thing is to move in with guys that are kind of on the same path or well ahead of you. Like similar to what you talked about is like, hey, you got to surround yourself with the natural. Like I moved in with one guy that's building a SaaS and another guy that has an agency that's probably doing like 4x my revenue. So you're just like,
Yeah.
cool. That really helps. Like, because you just get a lot of stuff from osmosis. You'll just talk about business. They'll give you ideas and you're like, man, if I didn't live with this person, you would not be getting half the sauce. But hey,
That made you feel insecure though, as well.
honestly, not really. I guess because I'm always, I would think maybe in a certain context, in the money stuff, I'm always down to learn more. I think if someone brought in like a 10x better looking girl than me, I'd be like, ooh, dang.
Yeah.
I might feel a little insecure, but I think down here in Medellin, this might just be like my friend group, is pretty much everyone has like a six pack. Everyone has like an agency doing like 50K plus a
Yeah,
month.
like
So
I saw you connected with like Hampton Short. You know
yeah,
him?
Hampton. Yeah, a
Yeah,
bunch of
yeah, yeah.
guys.
There's another guy. Yeah, it's like everyone knows everyone up the top as well.
Yeah.
I like that. I like to feel like when I went to Dubai, when I went to Dubai a couple of times will really make you feel a certain type of way.
Mhm.
Like I had a buddy and I was just like, it was good, and then he was making like I understood he was making 40K a day. I
Oh,
was like,
dang. Hey, that's a good guy to be friends with, right? That's how I
and then
always view it.
oh yeah, no, it's the greatest thing in the world, and I'm lucky that I have these one-on-one clients because I can get to know them really, really personally as well. I have the guys in socializing mentoring. There's crazy guys in there as well, but the one-on-one guys, understanding that they throw millions around like it's nothing, and it's like it's really
Hmm.
interesting to see that dynamic. So I like the word you say, get around. I always used to say, get around the sun. Gary Vee taught me that, which was get around the sun, get around the person that's going to help you level up. And the best way to do that I've found is like try to find what their value system is. Try to find what they value. So it's like if you have a guy and a girlfriend, getting him more girls is not going to help him at all. Like that's not going to be his thing. But getting him access to different events that he can meet new people, not too bad. So that can be his thing, and that's how you can leverage that. So it's like I always wanted to have the ability to be able to leverage my lifestyle and help other people so they could help me as well. This win-win dynamic, always a win-win.
Yeah. There's this thing that came from the RSD space and it was kind of taught in MOA was the primary driver emotion. I don't really like that term that much because I don't think it's an emotion. I think it's like almost like a primary driver goal. Like some guy, it's to have, better looking girls in his life. For some guys, it's to scale their agency. It's kind of just figuring out in each conversation where that person's like next target is and then how you can just help them.
Yeah, and it's always going to change too because they go through different seasons. So you got to stay up to date with that as well. That's why
Yeah.
I think it's like one of the greatest skills that I have is like a good memory. I just remember things. I remember things about people, and also I do write some stuff down. So if I hear like you're out there, so like today I'd write down. I'm like, oh, Jackson's there, blah blah blah, Colombia, but he knows this person, he's doing this, this, and this. So I'd have that. So if anyone comes in my Richter scale, I'm like my orbit, sorry, and I can direct them to you. I can try, might be able to, vice versa. So I think a good memory, and if you don't have a good memory, write shit down because it's
Yeah.
always going to change. Like in 10 years, you'll be married with kids. It's going to be completely different if we're friends still.
Yeah, and this guy Arlen Moore that used to be in one of his programs, he used to
Friend of
talk
mine.
about the glue
Yeah.
guy, whereas essentially you try to find these guys that are like the central hub of things, like they're the connector in their city. So if you can just find like the one guy in your city that's throwing entrepreneur events or throwing like nightclub events, like that guy is worth so much more than just like
Yeah.
even the 30 connections because that person can get you in touch with anyone.
Yeah. The key player, I call it the key player of the city. And I would say that those people are going to be unusually jobbed. Baristas could talk for a living. You never know what they might do. Lawyers, you've got real estate agents talk for a living as well. Any sort of person that's in a service industry where they have to get clients like sales, another person. Any of that, they're going to be fantastic. But that's a really good thing. Yeah, I remember Arla talked about there's a guy that I ended up interviewing, Jordan Taylor. He's the CEO of Ubi. That man is the most well-connected person I've ever met in my entire life. That guy knows everybody. And again, it comes down to a very simple system. He says it's just like, you might not be able to give value or you might not be able to get reciprocity from something you've done for someone for 3 years, but eventually it'll come back. So the more goodwill you put out, it always just comes back in return. And that's with girls as well too. Like I have a sister the other day and it popped off on Twitter a little bit, which is like back in an old RSD concept, which was leave her better off than you found her. And I feel like not a lot of people go by that anymore. You see these podcasts where they're just like berating women, just like your life is shit. It's like, of course, there's going to be outliers to anything that you do, but I feel like to being a gentleman, to being a man, to being someone that is well respected, it's just with girls do that. Within context, there might be some girls that might do some
Yeah.
heinous shit
I
to
mean,
you.
I agree with this, but I think like if I left a girl's life, it should be as if a meteor just hit her life because it's like, where's she gonna
Okay,
find another guy like me?
yeah. Well, you can't control that emotion within her, right? That's from her, right? It's not like you're
Yeah.
doing like look at my, like, you could do that on Instagram. You could be like, look at my life, it's so much better than yours as well. And that will happen. But that's kind of like a long step because as soon as she gets out of the relationship, she's getting hit by
Yeah.
guy. But, they say the dynamic of between a breakup, like when a breakup happens, a guy gets like no validation at all. And so he has to like
Mm.
build himself out for the next month. Where a girl gets all the validation and just goes down because she's like, the validation wasn't worth it. It was not Jax. Oh my God, it was not Sam. I wish I had that. Then they have a look at they see you, doing better than life. Well, what they say, the best revenge is just like continue living your life and then getting better and better and better. And that's what will happen, man. You'll see, and it won't take a year, it won't take 2 years, but 5 years, you will see the big difference between the people. I know with my high school friends, I've definitely looked at that. They're like, what, Sam's in another country, Sam's doing this, and it's just like, yeah, that was 10 years in the making to feel that sort of revenge that you might say. But it's just every day, just a different outcome. You're working on yourself, working on yourself, working on yourself. And you've done a fantastic job as well. Even doing this podcast is fantastic for the people that are listening. 1%. Just listening to this is 1% better. It might not
Mhm.
be now, but in 6 months' time, you remember something we said and it fucking clicks and you're like,
Yeah, and I always recommend, just because I like the podcast medium, is like if you're in a town where you're not like in a Miami, you're not in a Dubai or like a very international city, you can like at least walk around all day with like people that think like us, because we are very atypical thinkers as
yeah,
in the normie realm. Like I always go back
yeah.
home and I'm like, wow, I feel like an alien. You guys don't think at all like me.
I always have this like idea that I only listen to people that have got cancelled before. That's my new thing. Like, have they got cancelled? All right, I'll listen to them. Because that's what it is. It's like the normies are canceling. It's like I don't want to listen to normal people. I want to listen to people that are like, movers and shakers and people that are pushing the envelope and pushing like the limits of human existence. They're going to get cancelled all of the time, like 100%.
Yeah, there's a great Kanye quote in one of his songs is name one genius that ain't crazy. And I'm just like, damn, Kanye, you're right
Exactly.
about that.
That's a great. Like I was literally going to say, Kanye made Yeezus in 2013. Travis Scott sampled Yeezus 10 years later and made it relevant. But when Yeezus came out, like that album was not well received. It was
No,
like, what
I
the
was
hell is
probably one
this?
of the few people like he could like scream into a bag. And I'd be like, Kanye, goddamn genius. Like I
I
think
was
he's the
like Kanye
best.
fan. If you're a Kanye fan, you're a fan of yourself. That's what he says. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, I like Kanye
yeah.
fans.
All right,
but but yeah, going on.
let's go to the rapid fire questions because I want to be very gracious of your time. I know you're a busy man, so give us one business book that you would recommend to the audience. And if it's not business, give us a relationship book because I know that's more your core realm.
Yeah, absolutely. Any sort of Hormozy books are great for business at the moment. That's what
I
I'm
usually
reading.
ban Hermosi books. I usually say that's not Hermosi because he's the most common answer. Give us your second pick then.
Everyone says Hormozy. Okay. The One Thing by Gary Keller is great.
Mm.
There's another one. Let me go my Audible. Hang on. I should know it. I'm literally reading a book right now. It's fantastic. Um, I won't give you a great one. I'll just give you the ones that I listened to recently.
We're big Russell Brunson fans here. We like expert secrets. We like traffic secrets for more the beginner people. Ready,
Yeah,
Aim, Fire has been a big one that people
that's
have
been a big
recommended
one.
lately.
Absolutely. I would say for business, Ready Aim. Yeah, I've got Ready Aim Fire here. Jesus, like everyone's got the same sort of
Everyone's
books.
got the same
Uh,
ones, yeah.
uh, I would say a really, really good book that I have enjoyed. Not even Reality Transurfing is a great book.
Yes,
Not
Sean
even for
mentioned that one.
business.
Really good
Yeah.
one.
Uh, Persuasion is a great book.
Mm.
Uh,
All right, well, now we got enough business books. Now we're getting into the social media channels. All right, so if you could only follow one person for health advice, like you could only follow one YouTube channel, one Instagram, whatever, doesn't matter what channel they're on, but one account, who would you follow for health advice?
Damn. Yeah, I would say for I don't even follow anyone on Instagram. Um, I'd say I'd say myself.
Yourself.
I'd
You're the
just say,
health guy.
no, I would say I don't listen to anyone but like my friends are online. So
There you go.
so people that are really really good. So I would say that because I have a combination. No one online puts out content that I'm really like. Arlen puts out great content. I'll say Arlen puts out fantastic, even though he goes through his like little rants here and there. I love them.
Yeah.
Yep, Arlen's great.
Yeah. People often mention Huberman or they'll mention Kino Body, so Grego Gallagher.
Gregor
Then,
Gallagher. There's some other people that I really do like. There's Grant Lannon I interviewed. He's
there you
great.
go.
He's on Twitter. These are Twitter guys. Ben Bader, Brute de Force. Brute de Force is fantastic. All on Twitter. So I'm
Mhm.
a big Twitter guy. If I
You're a
was going
money
to go,
Twitter guy, yeah.
yeah, money Twitter, you know it. Yeah, yeah. I love brute force.
All right, how about wealth? If you could, that's not Hermosi. We have to ban him
Yeah,
because like he comes up too often.
he's with everybody.
Yeah,
You know,
it's like being the seven. It's like, oh, I'm a seven. It's like, no, you can't rank seven. It's either eight or six.
yeah, no, absolutely. Back in the day, Graham Stephan, I like Graham Stephan, Alex Becker. Yeah, those guys are
So
pretty
I
full
do
on.
not like Graham Stephan because he's all about saving money and like penny pinching to the maximum
Well,
degree. And like I feel like I came from the fire. If people know
yep.
what fire, it's like financial. I think that's just being sad in your life.
He was
So
an RSD he was an RSD guy, so that's why I like him.
didn't
Yeah,
know that. Interesting.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, get a little alpha here on the pod. Relationships. That's not yourself.
Oh, relationships that are not myself. I do like sometimes I like Ty Lopez's things like that. I can give a shout out to everybody. Our Owen Cook, he's my mentor. He's done fantastic things to me. So I would say, yeah, like I like Ty, but I already got introduced to Ty through Owen. So Owen, Elliot Hulse has some great takes as well.
Yeah, they're all good
Yep.
guys. Best purchase you made under $500 in the past
Oh,
year.
um, as weird as it's gonna sound, it's like it's got one right here. It's like traveling. So I'll just grab it. There you
Yeah,
go.
I was gonna say what it is.
It's like these orange bags that you put travel stuff in, right?
All
And
right, so
they're
it
like,
looks like they're little like slight compartment bags where it's like you'd have one
yeah,
overarching bag and then like tiny little compartments.
yeah. The best thing you'll ever have. Like you never have to worry about packing because you can like write on them, like everything goes there. It's the most simple pack if you're like a late minute packer. Well, I just know everything. Like I know every compartment. It's like packing is not a problem for me. It takes about, I'd say, 12 to 15 minutes to pack. So
All
it's
right.
like it's the most simplest thing.
Because you're
That,
an expert traveler, what's the best city for an entrepreneur to live in? And feel free to like break it up by income. If you're like, hey, 0 to
yeah,
10K, you got to be living here.
yeah,
20K
for
to
sure.
50 here.
So this is my factor. I've been to about 30 countries, 35 countries around that. So I haven't been around the world. Uh, it depends on what era. If you want to connect with a lot of people, Dubai is fantastic. I have a very great affinity with Dubai. I don't know. I just didn't have a problem with any of the escorts. They say it's 80% escorts. I met phenomenal girls there. Phenomenal, like the best of the best. So I really like Dubai, but you need a little bit of money to live there. Um, I would say LA back in 2016 was fantastic. No, not anymore. LA's a bit. It's slowly. If it gets cleaned up for the 2028 Olympics, it might be better. So I would say that may be on the come up. If you want to lock down, I just recently came back from Panama. If you really want to lock down, Panama's pretty good. If you do like Latinas as well, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Panama's like the Dubai. If I'm not mistaken, Panama's like kind of like the Dubai of Latin America.
Yeah, yeah, it's very nice. Some great things. A little expensive here and there. But Colombia, if you want to go and get your momentum back for girls, it's fantastic. I didn't really like when I come back down. We'll have to connect because I haven't got the connection scene back in Colombia. I just went there for the girls. It was good fun. I would say Miami is fantastic also for connections. And then one of the best places that I have probably been to just for uniqueness is probably Romania. It's fun. I went in 2015, went in 2022, 23, and yeah, just it's really interesting place as well.
Nice.
I'm just trying to
Now,
think. Yeah, that's probably the best I could say.
now let's imagine you wake up tomorrow. Everyone forgets about you. You got no more job, your bank account, it's all social media. It's all back at zero. So like relationships, they're all gone. And all you're left with is your knowledge, credit card, the basics, apartment
Yep,
in the
yep.
city you're choosing. Give us like a 30-day plan on how you'd get back to having like a very fulfilling social life.
Oh, good, good. I like that because when you said the question the other day, I thought it was like money wise, right? So you had to build a business. And I was
Well, it
thinking that
depends. If they're business guys, I ask the business question.
if it was me, like this is for an agency, like this is the thing that I want to do. Like I'll do it too. I'll do the business. Hit 30 days. I'm not a business guy, but if my business collapsed, I would go straight into short form editing for creators. As a creator, I know exactly what I want. I want like everything laid out, the best editors, scripts. I want everything like delivered where you just like turn the camera on, you put it there. That's it. I'd be able to create some sort of short film agency there. That's for me. I just know I can do that like within 30 days, real quick. If I was to do the social life, which city? My question
City of
is
your
there a
choosing. You
city?
choose, man.
Oh, okay. City of my choosing. Let's go. If it was say Australia, Gold Coast was my city, and I didn't know anyone. had to start again. So for me, my skill is in the nightclub. So I just head to the nightclub straight away. My ability to be able to do that. I would also allocate some money towards really getting my name out there. Tipping, tipping hard. In Australia, we don't have a tipping culture, so tipping goes a long way. So I'd start tipping a lot of people. That'd be my first thing. My second thing, and I would then go and create a circuit. So in social life mentoring, we talk about it. It's called the familiar face theory that I came up with. This theory that people will deem you as a stranger until they see you a certain number of times, and then they start to get curious about who you are. So I would start to go and choose like 5 places, and those 5 places might be a nightclub, a restaurant, a cafe, a gym, like a social spot or a spa or a sauna or something like that. And then I would go back to those places every day, week after week after week. So if you had 4 weeks, you could really start to get to know people. And then again, another thing that I do is every time I would be an initiator, I'd start to get to know people, and then I would ask particular questions. So I'd ask like the newbie questions, like where are the cool places? Where do people go to? Like what are the cool things? And whatever they told me, I'd write down, and I'd start to go to those places as well to see, because you're really just trying to find your first connection, that one, that pivotal one. So I would say you're ever it's all steam ahead to find that one connection, the key, the glue, whatever you like, the key player. And then from there, you just give them as much value as you had, which, if you've got credit card, you got some money, it would be to utilize that, because again, money talks all languages. So
Money
yeah,
talks all languages.
that's what I do. I mean, there's 10 different ways you could do it. I create social media content. There's so many different ways you could do it. But I would say for a guy, if there's able to do that, just pick 5 spots, go back to them, get to know people, stop being a hermit and being a little bit more. It's not about being introverted or extroverted. Just talk to people. Be like a normal human being.
Absolutely. Well, now everyone go take that blueprint and go run with it. Go invest in your city. That's what Tristan Tate calls it. He talks investing in your city, where
Yeah.
you go to the same spots, you tip really well. People now know you by name. They'll introduce you to people. They'll get curious about you. So
It's
I
not
think
even
that's
it's not even about the managers or the big owners. It's about the small people. Like you walk in. Have you ever seen that movie Legend with Tom Hardy?
never.
He plays the Cray brothers, and there's a scene in it. Go watch it tonight. There's a scene where he walks in with his date, and it's like the bus boy. It's like it's the valet guy. It's the front door guy. It's the not the chef, but like the person that takes I'm drawing a blank. But everyone knows him, right? And it's not the owner or the thing, because he's the owner, right? But the date didn't know that. So everyone coming out, she's like amazed by him. Because the idea is like you go back to it, people know who you are. The people that you're with are just in awe of like who you are. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's because people are reading signs all around. They're like, wait, why does the manager know him? Why does everyone know him here? Like, he must be important. So it's just people are reading like a lot of signs. So
Yeah.
let's talk real quick about like where people can find you online. You've been incredibly gracious with your time. Like, where can people connect with you? Look at your like 7 pillars of social.
So status, yeah, absolutely. So the very first thing that I can do, the biggest thing that I give is a free gift for everyone, which is if they go onto the website, it's called Enhance Your Status. I give away my 70-page ebook there. It's completely free. And so there's stories in there that I've never told. There's a story about Kendall Jenner in there as well when I met Kendall Jenner. So it's a great thing, but it's like 6 chapters about exactly what they could do. Other than that, they can find me on my name, which is Sam Matheson with 2 N's at the end. That's on everything: Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and then you can obviously type in social life mentoring in Instagram, and you'll see a lot of content there. The majority of times, if you want to see some of my crazy rants or me getting cancelled, it's on Twitter. Everything's on Twitter, my boy. I mean, there was a tweet that went pretty viral last year, so we're trying to replicate that.
Hey, we'll keep a lookout for it. A lot of the people here are money Twitter people. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And guys, if you're still listening to this point, you must either really like me or Sam, or maybe even both of us. So leave 5 stars. Really just get involved and go follow Sam online. But get back to
You did
growing your
fantastic,
agency.
by the way. Your questions are spot on, my man.